Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's well this afternoon. Just whilst we're waiting for a few others to join us, we'd like to start with an opening video from Salesforce's Dreamforce event this year. It's a really neat reflection on the change in vision and ways of working that's been needed over the last 2 years. And it clearly illustrates how Salesforce can help us to connect better with our customers and employees in a whole new way.
It's always someday. Someday, the way we work will change. Someday, we'll see customers as people, not data on a chart. Someday, someone will change the world. But it's funny, right? The future doesn't ask permission, and yet we are responsible for what it becomes. Overnight, someday became today. And while we may have gotten here in a way we couldn't see coming, there's no going back. That's not who we are. That's not how we're made. We're asking different questions. We're hearing different answers. Turns out, we didn't need a new version. We needed a new vision. It's time to connect with customers and employees in a whole new way. Because now, your HQ looks like this. Not this. Now, your customer expects this, but not this. So your employees can do more of this instead of this and this. We're bringing Slack and Customer 360 together to reimagine how we work in this all-digital, work-anywhere world. Success from anywhere, anytime, in real time. No, the future doesn't ask for permission. Neither do we. We're building a new way to work, and it's for everyone. Let's get back to growth together. Let's get back to trust together. And let's show that business can be the greatest platform for change. Not someday, today. Welcome to the trusted enterprise. Welcome to Dreamforce.
Good afternoon and welcome to those of you who have just joined us. No, it's not quite welcome to Dreamforce. It's welcome to Comnexa's Winter 2022 release highlights video as part of the Channel Islands user group. We really wanted to start with that video because we felt that it provides a neat summary of what Salesforce has been up to in the last year. Salesforce has been helping agencies and healthcare organizations to manage vaccine administration. There was a reference in the video to Slack, which is an instant messaging and team collaboration and customer service tool that Salesforce acquired this year, and that can be integrated with Salesforce so that you can review and approve Salesforce records directly from that app whilst collaborating with your colleagues. And of course, there was the strong reference to working from anywhere. Of course, Salesforce is a fantastic tool to allow us to work from anywhere, both because it's cloud-based, we have a strong mobile app, and just to add Slack to part of that series of tools that Salesforce offers. So I'd like to welcome you to this release highlights webinar today. My name is Richard Van Nest. I'm the Customer Success Manager at Comnexa, and I'm joined today by our Managing Director, Dan Williams, who would like to share a very exciting update with you.
Thanks, Rich. I just wanted to spend a minute or so to say thank you for everybody for all of your support in 2021. I think 2021 has been a year which really has driven transformation within enterprises. And I just wanted to say from all of us here at Comnexa, thank you very much for all of your support. Thank you for working with us, and thank you for innovating together with us. It's been incredible working with you all, and we really look forward to what 2022 brings for all of us together. Within 2021, we actually became one of the first Salesforce partners globally to become Financial Services Cloud accredited. And Financial Services Cloud is a Salesforce industry-specific product that helps the financial services industry win, onboard, and manage customers. So this is incredibly exciting, and it's thanks to everyone that we've been able to do this, really. And last week, we had this incredible news that we've been promoted to become what's called a Ridge Salesforce partner. And this is very exciting because Salesforce look at what we've achieved together in terms of success, innovation, growth, equality, and sustainable development. And we've been promoted to becoming a Ridge level consulting partner. So all of this couldn't be possible without the support of all of you, our community. So just once again, thank you so much, and see you in 2022.
Super. Thank you very much, Dan. Before I kick off with the most exciting updates from the Salesforce winter release, just wanted to remind everyone that if you do have any questions, or if you'd like to open a bit of a chat, please do use the Q&A functionality and the chat here in Zoom. And we will be making some time at the end to take your questions as well. So what I first wanted to focus on is, what is the benefit of Salesforce when it comes to these regular updates? So the first thing to note is that there's 3 seasonal releases with Salesforce: a spring, a summer, and this winter release. They come with hundreds of innovative features. They're delivered automatically in real time into Salesforce with no downtime. The upgrades are seamless, and they're cloud-based, so there's no need to worry about updating hardware or software. All customers run the same version of Salesforce, and then therefore all customers benefit from the latest features. These are the 4 latest innovations that the customer success team at Comnexa has picked out as the most exciting, we believe, and the ones that we think can provide real benefit to our customers and all Salesforce users. The first is something called Einstein Search. It makes searches faster, easier, and more accurate. The second is inline editing on reports. And if you haven't tried this yet, we'll be looking at how you can edit data straight from your reports. The third is flow enhancements. We have a bit of an update about flows being the automation solution of choice for Salesforce now. And we'll be sharing what the latest enhancements are that have come to flows. And finally, sorting upcoming and overdue activities intuitively in the activity timeline. There's a really neat improvement that's been made to give you some more freedom in how you sort your activity timeline. So turning to the first, Einstein Search. As I said, it makes it faster, easier, and more accurate to search in Salesforce. Through Salesforce analysis, they found that this new feature can boost productivity by up to 50%. All features are now automatically on by default at no extra cost to you, and there's no setup needed, there's no changes needed, although there is the opportunity to customize Einstein Search further. There are 3 main features of Einstein Search that I'll focus on. The first is personalization, natural language, and the actionable UI. So let's have a look at what Einstein Search looks like to the user. If you log into your Salesforce org now and go to the search bar at the top, you'll see what's known as the actionable user interface, actionable UI. And that's this area that's highlighted here in orange. When you start typing into that search field now, suggestions are automatically made based upon what you've recently searched, and they'll change as you type. As you hover over a record that appears in the search, you'll get a preview of that record now, and there'll be fields and actions that you can take, such as editing the record, that you can do all from the search area. What fields you see and what actions you take can be customized as well. You'll see that we can see the related list here for this particular object that we're looking at, in this case, opportunities. If we go to the next slide, for these related lists, again, if we hover over them, it will pop out detail of those related records. And again, we have the ability to take actions such as editing or creating new records right from within this searchable user interface. Also, as you search within Einstein Search now, you'll get some suggested list views. And by hovering over these suggested list views, you get a preview of the list view without having to actually navigate out of the search and go to the list view itself. Finally, and probably my favorite feature of Einstein Search is when you search, if you hit enter and complete the search, what Einstein Search will do is it will customize that search based on using intelligent results, based upon your patterns and hidden preferences within Salesforce as well. So in this case, if I've been doing a lot of interaction with accounts in the San Francisco area, Einstein Search in this case has reordered my results so that those San Francisco results appear at the top. No results or no records are left out. It's just about trying to save me time and trying to provide me some really smart results. Oh, finally, one last thing around Einstein Search. Perhaps this is the coolest. And that's you can use something called natural language phrases within Search now. So in this case, if I type in my open opportunities in Santa Cruz, Einstein will realize what I'm trying to do. And what it has done is it's created a custom filtered list for me based upon that search. If I think Einstein might not have been so smart and might not really be giving me the answers that I'm looking for here, I can review the filters that have been used based upon my natural language search. So it will show me the owner, and it's showing me opportunities that are closed files, so opportunities that are open in the Santa Cruz area. So Einstein has been really smart here. Einstein Search has been really smart here and shown me exactly what I'm looking for. And this means that I didn't need to go and create a new list view or a new report. I can do all this from that search bar. Inline editing in reports. Now, this is something that came out earlier this year, but it was limited to only two different field types, to text fields and numeric fields. But in the winter release, it's been enhanced. So we can now edit from reports, date, pick list, lookup, text, and numeric fields. Let's have a look at what that looks like. It looks very similar to editing in a list view. So you'll get a pencil for the fields that you can edit. If it's a pick list field in this case, we've got a drop down of the values that we can have. Just like in list views, you might see a lock icon for some fields that can't be edited. And there will be other fields that you can't edit. There's still some field types that can't be edited. And you may not be able to edit fields in a report if you don't have the right object permissions or field level security, or if page layouts haven't been configured in the right way. But this is a really neat feature and something that at Comnexa we can support you with getting the most out of. Flow enhancement. So as I said, there's quite a bit of an update on flows. As I mentioned, flows are now the automation solution of choice for Salesforce. And the reason why they're pushing flows so heavily is from this time next year, process builders and workflow rules are being slowly phased out. From this time next year, you won't be able to create new process builders or workflow rules, but you will be able to create flows. So Salesforce is strongly encouraging the move to flows now, and it's investing a lot of time in improving the user interface to make flow building easier. At Comnexa, we're already supporting some of our customers to make that transition to flows. Flows are a very powerful tool, and they overcome some of the challenges or limitations that we've historically seen with process builders. So Comnexa can support your move to flows, and if you'd also like some training in the use or creation of flows, that's something that Comnexa can support with too. There's a lot of different enhancements that have been made to flows in this release, and there's 4 that I would like to focus on. I'd like to give a big shout out to one of my colleagues, Jordan, a business solutions consultant in the professional services team, who developed this flow for the webinar today. And we've been able to demonstrate those 4 key enhancements to flows. The first one we wanted to focus on was being able to call a subflow from a record triggered flow. Now, a record triggered flow is one of the most common forms of flows that we create. And we can see where number 1 is highlighted here. We have our subflow that's referred to. What this means that we can do is we could have a series of flows that act independently to complete work within Salesforce, to run tasks, etc. But we may have a higher level flow where we want to incorporate our other flows. What's neat about that is that everything that was contained in that other flow, we don't have to repeat rebuilding here. And it can actually be very useful to have some other processes here while still being able to, as part of our flow, call another process, another flow. So that's something that's come with this winter release. Number 2 is reconnecting flow elements in the auto layout. Now, what we have here with number 2 labeled is a series of connections. So we have our flow going down this tree, this branch here. And we say at this part of the flow, we want to refer to, or we want to call an action of another part of the flow. And we can do that here. So it says call second, and it's related to this, call second flow. And we can see this purple color, and purple color here is almost a bit like a hyperlink. It's showing us the link between these 2. And for each action within the flow, it will show us the number of connections, so +1 connections here. And we have another example here in this part of the flow, update description with 1 connection. So we're relating different parts of the flow to each other. We can also schedule flows to activate after a set time period. Now, I don't believe this is new, but it's been sort of improved or enhanced, because now in this flow, we have 2 branches, one that's run immediately, one that's run 5 minutes after. Previously, this used to be broken down more in sort of decimals, so 0.5 of an hour, 0.25 of an hour. So it's a little bit clearer now. And it could be 5 minutes, or it could be 5 days. So I mentioned that in the flow, in our example, we had a run immediately path, and we had a 5 minutes after path. And there's additional things that can be configured for these paths in this section here. Perhaps the most interesting is the batch size. So let's say that this flow had an impact on 600 records. If we set a batch size of 200, then our process is going to run in 3 batches of 200, 200, 200 to complete the work. What's neat about that is that it helps improve the performance of Salesforce and the flow, and it can avoid us hitting what are known as Apex governor limits. And we can see this come up with automation. So it's best practice to follow the information and the instruction from Salesforce and to be considering batch size. But that's something that's been added into this winter release to improve the performance of Salesforce and flows. Finally, sorting activities. So this is the activity timeline view within Salesforce. And previously, we were only able to order the activities, upcoming or overdue activities, in one way. But now Salesforce is giving you the option in the settings of the activity timeline to order your activities by oldest date first or newest date first. That's a really neat tool, and it means that you can configure Salesforce in exactly the way that you want to, that works best for you. That brings us to the end of those demonstrations there. Be very keen to take any questions or queries that you have, both about what you've seen today demonstrated, or if you have any wider questions about Salesforce. Dan, have we had any questions there?
We have had one question, Rich, and that is somebody's asking, what's the difference between flows, process builders, and workflow rules? And what should they be using? Because they're a bit confused as to why there's all these different ways of automating things in Salesforce.
Of course, yeah. And Dan, please do step in if I've misunderstood anything. But workflow rules were traditionally used for relatively simple tasks in Salesforce, and are still quite actively used for things like triggering email alerts, for things like that. Process builders were used for more complex automation within Salesforce, where you wanted to update numerous records, make numerous changes in different places. Flows is kind of like a step up from both of those. It allows us to do more complex automation. There is also a limitation of process builders, which was one of the historic types of automation, where there was strong advice to avoid using process builders on the same object, because you could find that some of your automation was in conflict with each other, and that can be avoided with flows. I can see we have another question related to automation as well. What will happen to existing workflows and processes that are already in place? So Salesforce at the moment is telling us that there won't be any impacts on your existing workflows and process builders. It will just be a sort of line in the sand moment this time next year, where you won't be able to create new workflows and process builders. There's hints and suggestions that what Salesforce will do as part of that phase out is they'll no longer be doing what they call supporting workflows and process builders. So they probably won't be making enhancements to how you create workflows and process builders, a bit like what we've seen with the changes that have come with flows in this release. We wouldn't be seeing that with workflows and process builders in the future. There is also talk that Salesforce are going to release some tools designed specifically to help the migration from workflows and process builders to flows. But it doesn't seem right now that there's any risk that workflows and process builders are going to be phased out, so to the extent that it would have any implications on your existing processes. But moving forward, we'll be encouraging the use of flows wherever possible, and we're here to support those that want to migrate their automation to flows, or if you would like any internal training on flow building as well. Dan, is there anything else that you would add about flows and automation?
If we're considering creating any sort of automation, we should create flows moving forward, I think. So that's sort of the advice, and it's certainly something we've been taking into account when working with our customers.
Another question: what happens if a workflow rule has time trigger set to past? If a workflow rule has a time trigger set to the past, might have to consider that one specifically and pick that up after this webinar if that's something that we can support with. Dan, do you have any other reflections specifically on that question?
Yes, I think we need a bit more information about background, what that person is trying to achieve. So yeah, if they wanted to reach out to us after this, we'd be very happy to have a discussion in a bit more detail.
Absolutely.
Great. So I think that's it in terms of the questions. I just wanted to say that this user group is run for the benefit of everyone who's attending. So if anyone has any ideas on anything we could present in the future, or indeed, if anyone within our user group has done anything particularly cool, or created, let's say, a particularly cool flow, or wanted to show off any configuration that they've completed in Salesforce, please do reach out to us, and we are very open to having it interactive and having other people contribute and present. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any ideas or to contribute.
Super. And yeah, if there are no further questions, then I'd like to thank you all for attending today, for your support in 2021, for those customers that have joined us today. It's been a pleasure working with you this year, and I'm really looking forward to working with you next year. And for others who have joined, who are interested in Salesforce, we hope to see you at our future events as well. So if we don't speak to you before, we'd like, both Dan and I would like to wish you a lovely Christmas period and a very happy and prosperous new year. Take care, everyone.